Welcome back everyone to my YouTube channel. We are all surrounded by plants. Plants make up 80% of the total biomass on Earth. The main parts of the plant are the roots, stem, leaves, fruits, seeds, and flowers. Plants play an important role in the ecosystem as they are the primary producers. Their structure is well adapted to living on Earth. In today's video, we'll be looking at plants and what to know about them. Plant cells are eukaryotic in nature, just like animal cells. This means that it consists of a true nucleus, unlike bacteria. Cells consist of various structures known as cell organelles. These cell organelles have important functions. Number 1. Cell wall. This is the outer layer of the cell and it is made of cellulose. It is rigid and provides structural support for the cell. Number 2. Cell membrane. This is selectively permeable to certain substances. This means that only certain substances, such as water, can cross the cell membrane. This prevents toxins from entering. Number 3. Chloroplast. This is where photosynthesis takes place. It also consists of chlorophyll, which gives the leaves the green color. Number 4. Mitochondria. This is the powerhouse of the cell. Respiration takes place here to give the plant energy. Number 5. Nucleus. Consists of DNA and hereditary information that is required for cell division, metabolism, and growth. Number 6. Central vacuole. This regulates the turgor pressure of the cell. The transport system of a plant is less complicated than that of a human. Plants consist of two types of cells that are used to transport stuff in plants. These are the xylem vessels and the phloem tubes. The xylem vessels are used to transport water and minerals, while the phloem tubes are used to transport food. Water in the xylem travels up the plant, while substances in the phloem travels down the plant. Water is absorbed in the root, which is then traveled to the xylem. Water from the xylem is transported to the leaves, and it moves from the xylem through transpiration. Transpiration is the loss of water vapor from a plant to its environment. Transpiration stream is a continuous movement of water from the roots to the xylem, to the leaves, and into the atmosphere. Some factors that affect the rate of transpiration are temperature, humidity, air movement, and light intensity. The main substance transported in the phloem is sucrose. It is beneficial to use sucrose as a source of food as it is highly soluble, so it is present in high concentration. It is also a disaccharide, and thus it contains twice the amount of sugar as glucose. The process of moving sucrose in the phloem is known as translocation. Translocation occurs by mass flow due to pressure differences between the sink and the source. The source is any area in which production of food occurs, and the sink is any area in which the food is stored. Thus, phloem loading happens at the source and phloem unloading happens at the sink. Plants can have different features based on the environment they are from. The 4 different types are mesophytes, xerophytes, hydrophytes, and halophytes. These plants have different physical features to help them adapt into the environment. Mesophytes are plants that live in a moderately wet environment. They have the normal features seen on plants. An example is a sunflower. Xerophytes are plants that live in a dry environment or plants that are unable to absorb water. They have an increased water storage, thicker leaves, and a thick cuticle. An example is a cactus. Hydrophytes are plants that live in a wet environment or in water. They have less roots, large and flat leaves, and a thin cuticle. An example is a water lily. Halophytes are plants that live in soils with high salt content. They have succulent stem and leaves, small leaves, and they can excrete salt. An example is mangrove trees. Photosynthesis is a process in which plants use carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight to make food and oxygen. Photosynthesis takes place in the chloroplast of the plant cell. Photosynthesis is essential to a plant's survival. Leaves have 4 different layers. These are the upper epidermis, the pycid mesophyll, the spongy mesophyll, and the lower epidermis. Photosynthesis takes place in a pycid mesophyll. It consists of column-shaped cells, with each one containing numerous chloroplasts. There are limiting factors to photosynthesis. These factors limit the amount of photosynthesis that can take place during the day. These limiting factors are light intensity, carbon dioxide, temperature, and water availability. Photosynthesis is important to plants and for other organisms. Plants are known as autotrophs. Autotrophs are organisms that make their own food. Autotrophs are the primary producers of a food chain. Thus, most food chains start with plants, which make them extremely important. Food chain consists of a primary producer, a primary consumer, a secondary consumer, and sometimes a tertiary consumer. Plants get their energy from the sun, which is then passed on to falling trophic levels of a food chain. However, less and less energy is passed on to the falling trophic levels. Plants have the most energy in a food chain. Plants have a niche in the ecosystem. Niche refers to the particular role that organisms have in the ecosystem. Plants' niche are to provide food and energy for the animals present. Flowering plants can reproduce either asexually or sexually. Asexual reproduction involves one flowering plant, while sexual reproduction involves 2 flowering plants. Flowering plants have male parts known as the stamen and female parts known as the pistil. The stamen consists of the male gamete known as pollen, and the pistil consists of the female gamete known as ovule. They reproduce through pollination. Pollination refers to the process of transporting the pollen to the ovule. Self-pollination occurs when the pollen from one plant goes to the ovule of another flower of the same plant. Cross-pollination occurs when the pollen from one plant goes to the ovule of another flower of another plant of the same species. Self-pollination is asexual reproduction, while cross-pollination is sexual reproduction. If fertilization occurs and offspring is made. There are 2 methods of cross-pollination. It is done either by animals or by the wind. Both flowering plants have certain adaptations to achieve this. Flowering plants in which dispersal happens by animals such as insects and birds tend to have brightly colored petals and a sweet fragrance. This attracts animals to come in order to feed the nectar of these plants. Flowering plants in which dispersal happens by wind have large amounts of pollen, little to no petal of fragrance, and the pistil is adapted to catch the pollen floating in the wind. Offspring made from self-pollination are essentially a clone. They have low genetic diversity. There are disadvantages and advantages to this. Some advantages include inheriting all desirable traits and the fact that it's a quick process. Some disadvantages are that all offspring will be susceptible to the same disease and can be wiped out easily, and the offspring is less likely to survive in a changing environment. Offspring made from cross-pollination are different. They have high genetic diversity. Some advantages are that offspring is more likely to survive in a changing environment, and the offspring will be less likely to have undesirable traits. Some disadvantages are that less offspring can be made and less time is spent looking for another plant. After pollination and fertilization, the fruits are made which contain seeds. Plants also have ways of dispersing the seeds. The 4 main methods are animal dispersal, wind dispersal, water dispersal, and self-dispersal. For animal dispersal, these fruits are bright and colorful to attract animals. Some animals spread it by pooping the seeds after digestion or by throwing away the seed. An example is the mango. For wind dispersal, the seeds are very light and can be carried long distances by the wind. An example is the dandelion. For water dispersal, the fruits grow near water and may fall in it. It is buoyant and it can float to somewhere else. An example is the coconut. For self-dispersal, these explode and spread the seeds on the ground. An example is the bluebell. Well everyone, that's it for this video. If you enjoy, please smash that like button and subscribe. Comment down below any ideas you have. I'll see you again in the next video. Thanks for watching.